Let's talk about change. Whether you're launching a whole new menu or just trying to get everyone to use the new Rota software, change is pretty much constant in the pub game, right? But how do you stop a brilliant new idea from causing, total chaos with the staff and the regulars? Well, we're going to break down a simple playbook that turns all that constant change into your biggest advantage.
And isn't that the absolute truth? This just gets right to the heart of it. You're not just a landlord. You're steering a team, you're juggling suppliers, and you're trying to keep your regulars happy, all while trying to adapt to whatever the new trend is. It is such a complex balancing act, and every single change you make can either build your business up or start to unravel the whole thing.
Get a load of this. 70%. That's how many change initiatives completely fail, and pubs are definitely not immune to this. This isn't just some problem for big corporations. It is happening behind our bars every single day, and it's costing us morale, it's costing us time, and it's costing us money. So the stakes, they're incredibly high.
So why do so many of these great ideas just fall flat? Well, here's the secret. It is almost never because the idea itself was bad. I mean, a new line of craft beers sounds great on paper, doesn't it? The failure is almost always in the execution. It always comes down to the people.
Yeah, it usually boils down to these classic and frankly avoidable mistakes. The team feels like they've been ignored, so of course they resist. The announcement gets rushed out, so confusion just takes over. The regulars feel like you don't care about them anymore, and that creates a backlash. And if you don't celebrate the small wins along the way, motivation just fizzles out.
All right, so how do we avoid making those exact same mistakes? Well, instead of just winging it and hoping for the best, we can use some proven frameworks. And don't worry, this isn't some dry corporate theory. I want you to think of these as your secret weapons, simple, practical tools to get everyone on board and actually make your changes stick.
Okay, first up is a classic, Lewin's model. It is beautifully simple. You start by unfreezing. That just means breaking down the old habits and showing everyone why a change is needed in the first place. Then you introduce the change itself. And finally, and this is the crucial bit, you refreeze the new way of doing things, locking it in so it just becomes the new normal.
So what does this actually look like during a busy Sunday service? Okay, imagine your roast sales are tanking. You unfreeze the situation by showing the team the numbers, black and white proof that something has to give. For the change, you test out a new roast and a pint deal for a couple of weeks. If it flies, and you'll know pretty quick, you refreeze it. You update the menus, you train the staff on the upsell, and that's it. That's your new Sunday standard. Simple, effective.
Now, for the bigger, more complicated projects, there's Kotter's 8-step model. This is more like your detailed roadmap. It's really all about leadership, about creating a real sense of urgency, getting the right people on your side to lead the charge with you, and then making absolutely sure the new way of working becomes a permanent part of your pub's culture. Let's apply this to a headache we all know, stock waste. First, you create urgency by putting a real number on it. Lads, we are losing 300 quid a week on this. Next, you form a team, a little coalition with your key players, from the cellar to the kitchen. Then you celebrate the quick wins. Every single week you hit that wastage target, you make a big deal of it. And finally, you anchor it. You make it official. This is how we run cellars from now on. End of story.
All right, our third tool, ADKAR, shifts the focus from the big project down to the individual person. It recognizes that for any change to really succeed, every single member of your team has to go on their own little journey. They need awareness of why it's happening, a desire to actually take part, the knowledge of how to do it, the ability to put it into practice, and then reinforcement to make it stick.
Think about rolling out that new rota software. You can't just drop it on them and hope for the best. First, you create awareness. Explain why the old paper system is so broken. Then you build desire by showing them how the new app means fairer shifts and much easier holiday requests. You give them the knowledge with proper training and the ability by letting them have a play around with it. And then you reinforce the new behavior by maybe shouting out the early adopters.
Okay, so that's the theory. But how do we put it into practice? Let's build a practical, step-by-step playbook you can literally start using tomorrow. One that takes an idea from the back of a beer mat to a fully fledged success.
Let's be honest, the biggest hurdle is almost always staff resistance, and it usually comes from two very common fears. First, there's the fear of losing control. The fix for that? Simple. Consult them early. Give them a voice in how it's going to work. Second, there's the fear of not being able to handle it, of looking silly. The fix? Proper, hands-on training that actually builds their confidence.
So here it is, your 5-step plan. 1. Set a really clear, specific goal. 2. Assign roles so everybody knows who's doing what. 3. Plan how you're going to communicate and over-communicate. 4. Manage resistance head-on by talking to people. And 5, probably the best part, celebrate the wins. Seriously, a free pint for the team when they hit a target goes a long, long way.
Okay, the theory sounds good. The playbook is clear. But does any of this stuff actually work behind a real, busy bar on a Friday night? Let's look at the proof from some pubs that have used these exact methods to get some pretty amazing results.
Check this out. The Red Lion managed to cut its wastage by a quarter. Now, they didn't just force a new system on everyone. They got the cellar team involved in trialing it first. That gave them a sense of ownership and, well, the results speak for themselves.
Right, next up, the Ship In. They boosted their Sunday roast sales by a massive 40%. And what was their big secret? They just talked to their regulars. They tested out a few ideas with them before they changed the whole menu. They just brought their best customers along for the ride.
And finally, the King's Arms. They basically eliminated arguments over the rota, a 70% reduction in disputes. How? They used that ADKAR model to walk every single staff member through the change to the new app. They turned a source of constant stress into a smooth, efficient process that actually works.
So what this all proves is that managing change properly isn't just about preventing problems or putting out fires. When you actually do it right, when you're strategic and you listen to your people, it becomes this powerful engine for growth. It means you've got happier staff, which means better service, which means a busier pub.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Forget about some massive, scary overhaul. Just using these simple tools, what is one small change that, if you did it right, could actually transform your pub next week?